Now I would like to introduce our honorable speaker, Dr. M.L. Parihar sir. Dr. Parihar born on 1st July 1966 in the historical region of Mewar at Gadoli village of Bhilwara district of Rajasthan state. He started his professional career in 1989 with basics qualification of diploma in instrumentation engineering and joined the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India at Heavy Water Plant, Kota in 1994, where he worked up to September 2017 and subsequently he has been transferred into upcoming very important unit of the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India, and now he is working as a scientific officer, deputy manager in nuclear fuel complex Kota project, Rawatbhata, Rajasthan, Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. He acquired AMIE degree in chemical engineering from the Institution of Engineering India, MBA HR from Sikkim Manipal University, Master's Diploma in Alternative Medicines from Indian Academy of Acupressure Science, Jodhpur, and Doctorate of Philosophy PhD in Alternative Medicines AM from Indian Board of Alternative Medicines, Kolkata. He is working as an instrumentation as well as chemical engineering engineer, trainer, researcher, alternative therapist, volunteer holistic healer in alternative medical practices. His book on the topic of वैकल्पिक चिकित्सक पद्धतियों के माध्यम से समग्र स्वास्थ्य प्रबंध was submitted to Home Ministry, Government of India for Rajbhasha Gaurav Award 2018 by his department. He has delivered around 230 presentations, talk on role of Department of Atomic Energy for economic, social, and technological development of the nation building by covering more than 33,500 persons and effectively and successfully conduct more than 400 health awareness program by covering approximately 47,000 citizens during the last 8 to 9 years at various parts of the nation. He has been awarded by Rana Kunja Award 2020 by Maharana Mewara Foundation, Udaipur for his about self-service holistic health management to all the social societies through alternative therapies. His name has been proposed for the prestigious Padma Award 2021 by many of the dignitaries from different parts of the nation, though through online nomination system for his volunteer services to the society. It will be my honor to invite M.L. Parihar sir to continue the session on conservation of energy and natural resources through industrial automation and engineering technology.
Thank you, madam, for the nice introduction.
Welcome, sir.
And I am thankful to Modi Institute of Technology and Rajasthan Technical University Kota for giving me opportunity to share my experience in the field of conservation of energy and natural resources. As I am working in the Department of Atomic Energy at Rawatbhata, I will just, I don't want to have a theoretical session. Already you might have taken a lot of theoretical session. Just I attended the recent session, and that recent session madam has nicely explained the instrumentation control system. I thank her for a nice presentation. So I will just sensitize you. So my aim is not to teach you. You know each and everything already. I will just recall your knowledge and what experience we have gained in our this department. I will share this. So I want to share my presentation. Kindly help.
Your presentation is visible now, sir.
Hello.
All good, sir. All good.
Now my presentation is visible to you,
Yes, sir.
but I will not be able to see the participant.
Uh,
Okay, no problem. I will start.
okay, sir.
So once again, good afternoon. I will tell about the conservation of energy and natural resources through industrial automation and re-engineering techniques used at heavy water plant Kota. It is at Rautbata. The level of development of any country or society depends upon mankind, health and education, infrastructure, industries. These all, if we analyze these all depend upon the resources. Natural resources, whatever the resources we are getting for our development are coming from the nature itself. So whatever the material which fulfills the need of human and it increases the effectiveness or efficiency of human activity are called resources. If it is coming from the nature, it is called natural resources. As I told, each and every resources we are getting from the earth, mother earth or its environment. So all resources comes from the nature or the mother earth. Just have a look. Any material or any item which is part of earth which satisfy and add the value to human needs. Natural resources, you can see plant, mineral, agriculture, food, air, water, animals, medicines, chemicals, all are coming from the nature itself. Now we see human is also the natural resources, since it also originates or generates from the nature itself. So human is also taken under consideration as the natural resources. Human is having its own brain for thinking capability and it having the skill to add the values to other resources. By utilizing the natural resources, human adds value in these resources. Then these all resources are known as man-made resources. Now it comes the matter, what is energy? You know that as theoretically energy is to do the capacity to work. What if we define work? Everybody, every time, everywhere people are working. So one is known as manual work, semi-automatic work and automatic work. Automation, what is the automation? As we know the tools, techniques, technology and applications for maintaining, controlling, monitoring and production and delivery of the goods and services. If we are involved in any of these activities, then if we are using some techniques, tools or technologies or any application for achieving good productivity, quality, flexibility, efficiency, quantity, safety, and cost, etc., then we will call this is automation. Automation through there are various methodologies, but finally engineers are playing very important role in automation. One term is known as engineering. It is used at initial stages of any design of the system. Then another term comes re-engineering. Re-engineering means whatever the system exists, it is to be re-optimized by using the engineering technologies, whatever the whatever the present time engineering methodologies are available. If it is used for modification of the earlier system was developed during some back time. Now just have a look, human development history. Human development history took initial phases at the age of caveman age, when people we were living in the forest area and their shelter was as cave. Then came hunting age. In the hunting age, people used to use tools made by the stone or something else for hunting the animals for their survival for food. Now it came agriculture age. Then human has utilized agriculture power by animals. Animals were the resources for the energy. Then came industrialization age. After the invention of the steam generation or the boiler, industrialization took place. Then came electricity. Electricity has developed a tremendous potential in the industrialization, then came technological age, when all the technologies are available with us now. Everything, each and everything is available in our pocket, in the mobile or in the laptop or in the system. Now we have entered into 21st century. This century is known as the knowledge management. As yes, you know that we all are attending this session through internet. We are sharing knowledge. You click one word in the Google, you will get more than 1,000 websites in the particular topic. But earlier, the time when we were studying, if we want to see something, we used to go to library and we used to see the encyclopedia and reference books for the informations. Now just have look upon the energy consumption from the caveman age. If we convert each and every activity into the energy, a kilowatt per capita, during the age of caveman, the total energy consumption was 3 kilowatt per capita. Since that time only one need was there, food, and there was no agriculture, there was no domestic need, no industry, no transportation. Then hunting man, the time when hunting age came, their food requirement increased. So doing the physical activity, physical exertion, and that was the fear from the animals, whichever has been hunted. So they required domestic shelters also. So their energy just more than doubled. It was 7 kilowatt hour per capita. Then agriculture age. So agriculture age, again, by doing the physical activity, that food requirement increased. Then agriculture, animals energy also added, and then shelter also requirement increased. So the energy is again, it is more than double. It was earlier hunting age, it was 7. Now it was 13 kilowatt hour per capita. Now came industrialization. Industrial man, using food requirement increased. Then agriculture also increased, domestic requirement, it drastically 10-fold increased, and industry, it is the first time introduction. So transportation also increased in this manner from 13 kilowatt hour per capita. During the agriculture man, it became 260 kilowatt hour. Now, the 21st century technological man, each and every resource are increasing drastically. Now it is on average basis, it has become around 410 kilowatt hour per capita. So we can see energy is continuously increasing. In this also you can see just in the graphical representation what increased, where it increased. It increased drastically for energy, for transportation, as well as for industries and agriculture. There are energy resources, we can say naturally one energy resource which comes from the overground, or another energy resources comes from the underground. So overground resources are solar energy, wind energy, and hydro energy or water energy. Water may be falling water, rising water, or flowing water. The underground resources are fossil fuel, hydrocarbon, in which coal, wood, petroleum products are there. Another resource is nuclear fuel. Nuclear fuels is a new source of energy, having clear, environment-friendly energy resources. It is also having two types of the fuel. Another one is the fissile fuel, and another is fossil fuel, fertile fuel. So in these, we can see these above ground resources are renewable energy resources, are having unlimited capabilities, but still the underground resources are having limited resources, and whatever the amount available in the nature, in the crust of the Mother Earth are limited, but we are continuously extracting the resources from the Earth. So it is continuously depleting. But nuclear is one of the environment-friendly option available with us. So we are fortunate that our Department of Atomic Energy has done a lot of efforts to have energy efficiency as well as the other applications for the non-nuclear point of view, for the technological, economical, and societal development of the nation. Well, now comes the conservation. Conservation, what is conservation? When we do conservation, whenever there is crisis, then we start thinking about the conservation. Then there are some questions which should be clarified. Few W's or few H: who, how, when, where. So These questions can be analyzed by the educated person. Why should I do conservation of the energy as well as the natural resources, and when I should do, where I should do, and how I should do. So conservation of requirement of conservation is the natural resources as well as the man-made resources. Both the resources are to be conserved. Let us see nature's conservation. Nature has already taught us the conservation methodologies. So just see, these are the natural conservation, oxygen, carbon dioxide cycle, water cycle, then fauna and flora. You can see very, very nicely designed. Whoever the engineer or an architect cannot design whatever the nature has designed. You can see everything is fine. Water cycle is there, agriculture cycle is there, carbon dioxide cycle is there, oxygen cycle is there, birds and animals, they were enjoying. You see, these are the nature's engineering, whatever nature has done. Now we come to see what our development, at what cost we developed ourselves. We are taking all the resources from the Mother Earth. We are taking energy resources, we are taking mineral, we are taking food grains, we are taking medicines, we are taking chemicals, we are taking water for our houses, industries, and irrigation purpose. Everything we are taking oxygen from the environment and nature. But what we are giving waste and effluent, we are giving pesticides and chemicals, and we are giving pollutants, and we are doing deforestation also. So in this manner, nature is getting lot of challenges. So we are continuously drawing the resources from the nature, but we are not conserving the resources as well as we are not giving back. And moreover, if we are giving back, then we are giving back the pollutants and effluents. We just have a look what we have done for our development. We have burned the forest. We have deforested. You see the whatever the things naturally it was in good shape, but we have done a lot of what we are doing. We are polluting the environment by generating the carbon dioxide and other effluent gases. What happening? Ourselves, we are at the challenge that we are breathing in the pollutant environment. You see what we are doing. We have used a lot of plastic, and we are throwing plastics in the natural resources, and we are directly polluting our environment, and for which environment we are getting all the resources. You see, this is the condition, how people are working. These people are the sanitizing, these are the cleaning people, they are working, but we are not taking care of themselves as well as our environment. You see, this is the condition of rivers, mother rivers. In our country, we treat rivers as a mother, but what we have used lot of plastic. You see, these are animals, what they are eating from the environment, and they're in their body. We have dosed lot of our waste products. You see, this is the holy rivers in which what we are giving, what we are throwing. Say these, how dead bodies are thrown in the Gangas, holy Gangas, where we pray to that. Ganga was one of the purest river. Now see, these all animals, natural animals, they are afraid. They are fearful. Their quantity, their numbers are getting reduced drastically. Now our Mother Earth and nature is sick. We can see the nature as well as Mother Earth is at hospital and under the life-saving jackets. So what should we do? If our mother is sick and hospitalized, we are always worried. We are putting our efforts to take care of our mother, but we are we are least worried about our Mother Earth, which we know in our country it is treated mother who gives us birth and the Mother Earth. If both are compared, then we are giving weightage to the Mother Earth more than the mother which has given us birth. You know that there are some laws. We have already studied the third law of Newton. It tells each and every action is having equal and opposite reactions. Similarly, nature's law is also there. And nature's law tells nature never excuse. Another comes law of karma. Action taken today writes a script for tomorrow. So let us see what is happening. So these are the revenge of the nature. somewhere it is cyclones are there, somewhere flood condition is there, somewhere flood uncontrolled rain is there, and people are getting sick due to this environmental condition, then water pollution condition, or maybe something another region. Somewhere it is tsunami, somewhere it is some say earthquakes are there, buildings are getting collapsed. So we started our development with this diya by burning some oil and putting some cotton lines, and now we are at the electricity age. If we are not aware, if we are not awakened, then this may not be available, the resources for having this diya. So Nisarg Green, this word is used in the Nisarg means nature, nature's loan. We have taken a lot of things from the nature. If we have taken loan from any bank, and if we are not repaying, then bank will take legal action against us. But nature is not taking legal action against us, but we ourselves are facing a lot of problems with the problems we have created, and we are facing problems. So let us conserve all the natural resources, but who will conserve? I will conserve. I will start conservation of all the natural resources as well as energy resources from my house itself. If I start this, if I start a mission, if we all join together to conserve the natural resources, our Mother Earth, and then this nice environment can be protected effectively and efficiently. So as this was the brief background that what scenario is there, and this atomic energy industries are always taking care of all the natural resources, and energy is very, very important. We understand whatever energy we are conserving here, if I'm saving 1 unit of energy, it is treated as I am generating 3 units of energy. So heavy water plant Kota, just you can see overview. It was the first indigenous plant to produce heavy water. All the engineering technologies and development were done by the Indian scientists from the Department of Atomic Energy. I'm happy to say, and I feel myself prideful that I'm working in the Department of Atomic Energy. So our major thrust area, we want to do maximum production of heavy water at minimum cost. Our target to produce maximum heavy water, but our target to have minimum cost. Then best safety record, continually fought for conservation of energy and natural resources, and to serve the nation with pride. These are our thrust areas, major thrust areas. Heavy water, just you may think, what is heavy water? Heavy water is basically isotope of deuterium. Hydrogen, there are 3 isotopes. Hydrogen is having 3 isotopes: protium, deuterium, and tritium. All the isotope of hydrogen reacts with oxygen and makes oxygen compound. Protium with oxygen, it is H2O, and deuterium with oxygen, it makes D2O, and tritium with oxygen, it makes tritiated water. So in the nature, if we do analysis, 99.995% of natural water, it remains in the form of H2O, and 0.015% it remains in the form of deuterium oxide or heavy water, and 1.8 into 10 raised to power minus 18% in the form of tritium. These all are naturally available. Chemical properties of heavy water and natural water are same, but physical properties and nuclear properties are different. So if we compare with the freezing point, normal water freezes at 0 degrees centigrade, while heavy water freezes at 3.82 degrees centigrade. Similarly, if we compare with the boiling point of water and heavy water, normal water boils at 100 degrees centigrade at the environment pressure, whereas heavy water boils at 101.4 degrees centigrade. If we compare the density, heavy water is more denser than the normal water. Its density, you can see 0.9982 grams per milliliter, whereas heavy water is having 1.1056 grams per milliliter. If we see the maximum temperature density, normal water is 4 degrees centigrade, whereas heavy water is having 11.6 degrees centigrade. Heavy water production methods are, there are 3 methods by which we can produce heavy water. We can extract heavy water from the normal water or any resource which is having deuterium. One is the electrolysis. If we do electrolysis, hydrogen and oxygen both will be separated. Then hydrogen can be taken to the cryogenic distillation. Then hydrogen's isotope will also come out. Another is chemical isotopic exchange. If we use any chemical for isotopic separation, then it can be extracted from the natural resources. Another is the distillation. As we have seen, the natural water boils at normal water boils at 100 degrees centigrade, whereas heavy water boils at 101.4 degree centigrade. If we boil, heavy water will remain at the bottom, whereas normal water will get evaporated. If we reduce the pressure of the system, if we take this system into the vacuum, then boiling point difference will be increased. If we are having 100 millimeter of Hg absolute, then its boiling temperature will be around 52 degrees centigrade for normal water, whereas around 54.6 degrees centigrade for heavy water. In this manner, these 3 methods can be used. But for any heavy water production, we have to see the energy cost as well as the operational cost or production cost. So heavy water production is a challenging task because natural abundance in the natural water, its percentage 0.015%, whereas nuclear reactor requires heavy water at 99.82%. Concentration increase required from 0.015% to 99.82%. It requires 7,000 times concentration increase. And moreover, it is a big challenge that to produce 1 kilogram heavy water, we need 35,000 kilogram of treated processed water or demineralized water. So to produce 1 kilogram heavy water, we need 35,000 kilograms of demineralized water. So this demineralization itself is a big process. Then heavy water production, D2 production process are energy intensive. These requires a lot of energy. So these are the challenges. But still heavy water is required. The major use of heavy water in the nuclear reactor is it is used as a moderator and a coolant in the nuclear reactor, where natural uranium is used as a fuel. In India, Heavy Water Board is the unit of Department of Atomic Energy. It is having various units at various locations of the country. You can see in the map. One is at Heavy Water Plant Baroda, another is Heavy Water Plant Hazira, Heavy Water Plant at Kota. It is at Rautbada, but its name is at Kota. Heavy Water Plant at Talcher. It is near Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Another is Heavy Water Plant Manuguru. It is in the Andhra Pradesh. It is near Khammam district. In the Khammam district, Heavy Water Plant Tuticorin. It is near Kanyakumari. Heavy Water Plant Thal. It is near Mumbai. So in almost all over the country, and it is having its head office at Heavy Water Board Mumbai at Vikram Sarabhai Bhavan, Anusakti Nagar. This is the brief process. We take water from Chambal River, Rana Pratap Sagar Dam, and we treat it in water treatment plant. Is concentration in the parts per million, it is 150 parts per million. In the percentage, it is 0.015%. Demineralized water is taken to the chemical isotopic exchange process, where hydrogen sulfide gas is used as a carrier gas. From 0.015%, its concentration is increased up to 15%. Then it is sent to the distillation unit, from where 15% to 99.82% concentration is increased, and then 99.82% or more concentration based heavy water is drummed and sent to the nuclear power plants for their uses. This is the brief, just mimic of the heavy water production. There are two towers. One is cold tower, another is hot tower. Cold tower temperature is maintained at 30 degrees centigrade. Hot tower temperature is maintained at 130 degrees centigrade. Isotopic efficiency of heavy water, or you can say deuterium, if it is temperature is more, deuterium will shift from liquid like H2O2, it shift into hydrogen sulfide gas. And if its temperature is less, then it shifts from hydrogen sulfide gas to normal water. In this manner, concentration at the bottom of the coal tower increases from say 0.015% to first phase, second phase, third phase. Different stages are there. Now, whatever the temperature being maintained, 130 degrees centigrade or 30 degrees centigrade, the fluid which is entering into coal tower enters at the natural temperature. Its temperature is maintained at 30 degrees centigrade. From bottom, it goes to the cold hot tower where temperature is 130 degrees centigrade. So increase the temperature, we use steam for this heating purpose, or maintaining temperature. And we are using lot of heat exchangers to cool down the fluid which is coming from the hot tower and to heat the fluid which is coming from the cold tower. So we are having several recovery systems and a stripper system, and we are utilizing maximum energy, whatever the energy normally getting wasted, but we are using by cross current heat exchangers. So our system remains energy efficient. If we analyze the production cost of heavy water, if we do different methods, then we use steam to maintain the temperature. Steam cost, it is approximate 47% of the total heavy water production. Another, we use electricity to run various systems, various equipments, various pumps. Our power cost and electricity energy cost, it is 30%. And remaining different chemicals and these all utility items and manpower, it is in the very lesser category. But if I add steam and power, electric energy and steam energy, it is approximate 77%. Means 77% of production cost of heavy water is in the form of energy. And we know that conservation of energy, there are a lot of scopes. So what measures we have adopted for conservation of energy and natural resources, just have a look. In our department, this in heavy water plant Kota, one scheme was initiated, hot ideas into cold case. Whoever is working in the department, whatever the idea is coming, what should be done for the conservation of energy as well as the natural resources, you put this idea in the written format in a particular energy conservation schemes. There is a committee who do analysis, and if somebody is required, then whoever has floated the idea is called and discuss the matter, what is his idea and what engineering methods are available to implement the hot ideas to increase the system efficiency as well as the conserve the energy resources. The conservation word itself, it comes conservation of energy means without comfort with the compromise with the comfort. Whatever the comfort or whatever the need of energy, it should be fulfilled. Then after that, if we are able to maintain our comfort without compromise, but energy is reduced or energy is conserved, then it is called optimized energy conservation. So with this, a lot of engineering modifications were taken place or implemented. So here, as I have used the term re-engineering technologies. Re-engineering technologies means this plant was constructed or installed or commissioned during 1980s, and in the 2000 approximate, we started a lot of energy conservation methodologies. So some of the ideas are just being shared here for your information. So first, what we did, we re-optimized the process parameters. Maintaining temperature at 130 degrees centigrade and maintaining temperature is 20 degrees centigrade. Just we optimized it. We did a lot of experiments. If I reduce the temperature, what will happen? Increase the temperature, what will happen? Then at the optimized condition, process parameters were optimized or re-optimized, and after whatever the best energy conservation method and with the good productivity, we finalized the parameters. It has given lot of energy conservation. Two of them are this. This is waste heat recovery system. Whatever the fluid coming out from the hot tower, it is around 70 degrees centigrade. Normally, this water was, if the whatever the extract or discharge from the hot tower was supposed to be mixed with 2 times of the natural water for cooling it down. So in this manner, one the natural resources was being used for cooling down the hot water. Another, this heat was getting lost. So we started one waste heat recovery system. Whatever the hot fluid of approximate 70 degrees centigrade was going out, for more water was being used for cooling it down. So one heat exchanger was installed to heat up the DM water or boiler feed water. Whatever the demineralized water we are using for boiler feeding, it requires temperature increase. So we have utilized the waste heat which was getting lost in the normal course of action, but by installing this waste heat recovery system without any much operational cost, whatever the DM water heating was used by using the steam has conserved or has been saved. Another is trimming of pump impeller. You know that your pumps are designed for a full load capacity, whatever. Then we use discharge valve or control valve in that line. In this manner energy is lost. So by doing the trimming of the pump impeller, energy was conserved. Then discharge of one pump connected with another pump. So you know that we are having a number of pumps, and pumps are discharging same fluid in different system. If one system is having lesser requirement, another system is having more requirement. So discharge of the one pump is connected with another pump. So pumping cost, pumping energy reduced. In this manner, it saved a lot of energy. Now, interconnection between cooling water and chilled water. We were having chilled water system, so 10 degrees centigrade for maintaining the temperature or reducing the temperature at 30 degrees centigrade, the fluid coming from 130 degrees centigrade. So first we are doing cooling through cooling water coming from the cooling towers, and another we were having chilled water system, chilled water generation system. Then that time we planned that we should not use the freon-based refrigerator. So then we stopped that and we interconnected the cooling water line and chilled water line. In this manner, we conserved a lot of energies, as well as we saved the natural resources also. Another variable frequency drive, we were using normal motors for our system. Then whatever the energy, it was getting lost. So variable frequency drive, whatever the requirement of the flow of the fluid, the system as per the requirement, energy was utilized. Then we were having plate type of distillation column in which there were 5 stages and 9 towers. So what we did, in plate type of distillation column, everywhere there was a reboiler, and everywhere there was a pump. So we replaced this plate type distillation column with packed distillation column. And by this, say earlier there were 5 stages. So we kept the first stage itself, but after the second, third, fourth, fifth stage, out of 4 stages were replaced by a single packed distillation column. It conserved the pumping cost as well as the steam requirement for the reboilers. In this manner, this has increased our quality as well as conserved a lot of energy. And moreover, if sometimes the operator used to go to the field, whatever the everywhere parameter, say it is approximate 58-meter height, so every person has to go to the staircase and see the parameters, operate the walls, etc. But having a single tower, it conserved a lot of human power also. We installed effluent cooling tower. Whatever the water going out from the hot tower, we used to mix 2 times of water, and then it was brought the natural temperature, then it was reutilized. But by installing one effluent cooling tower, we installed one cooling tower. This water was coming to the system pressure itself. by installing one ID fan at the top of the cooling tower, the temperature of the system was brought down, water was brought down, and the same water was reutilized for the other systems. So in this manner, the pumping cost of the extra 2-time water conserved, as well as the water was reutilized for or recycled in our system itself. Then what happened? This effluent cooling tower was also requiring power for ID fan. So we have further modified it, and we installed one mist cooling system. With the system pressure itself, this water comes at the mist cooling tower. It is not cooling. It is not a cooling tower, but this is a system. So you can see the how hot water is getting spread, and after getting cooled, it gets down, and it is collected in the water pond or water storage tank, and it is then recycled back. So having the one-time cost by the just installation cost of the mist this spray system, we are operating this system without any energy, and it is being reused. So in this manner, we can say. Though the word here you can see it is used effluent, but it is not effluent. It is the demineralized water, but it is the temperature is more, so it is hot water. But now after this installation of the mist cooling system, this full water, 100% water is being reused or recycled in the system. We have installed one, as I told you, we were using freon-based refrigerators. Then we stopped that, and we installed a vapor absorption refrigeration system by utilizing the waste heat going in the our hot water. By that itself, we are able to generate chilled water up to 25 degrees centigrade to 15 degree, and it is of a big quantity, 165 cubic meter per hour. So in this manner, we have conserved the waste heat, and we have conserved the resources, and we have conserved lot of energy. Here we have installed one solar-based solar steam generator system. In this natural, the solar energy normally is being utilized as the photovoltaic cell and photovoltaic diodes, etc. But these photovoltaic cell or photovoltaic diode are not so environment friendly, because a lot of earth crust is utilized for developing this photovoltaic cell and photovoltaic diode. And after some time, they may not be usable due to fragility or environment condition. So Atomic Energy has started one energy conservation measures, as well as the alternative resources for the photovoltaic cell and photovoltaic diode. These, you can see, these are the just discs using the normal mirror as we are using in our wash basin or seeing the faces. So these all the mirrors are so installed that its reflection comes at the central location at one place. And it is the solar tracking, automatic solar tracking system. If you are seeing here, presently sun is in that direction, so these are like this. If morning you see, this will be in this direction. So all the focus of all the mirrors are at one place, where one coil is there. In that coil, water is getting circulated, and it becomes red hot by this all foxing. So these 4 discs have been installed for doing the just experimentation or doing some collecting the data. Heavy Water Board, IIT Mumbai, and Ministry of New and Renewable Resources has jointly worked here, and now such system we are generating approximately 400 kilogram steam per hour. Presently, we are utilizing this steam for our reheating systems, but in future, such installations is possible in the remote areas where these small disc can be utilized for generating power, small power in the local consumption, say in the villages or the remote area. Such installation may be very fruitful. So earlier we were using pneumatic control system. Since we were using hydrogen sulfide gas as a carrier gas, hydrogen sulfide gas is highly flammable, highly toxic, highly corrosive. So that time in early 80s, pneumatic system was only preferable. But the time when we started energy conservation methodologies, we have just replaced the pneumatic control system with the DCS system. You can see earlier approximate 50 feet long control room was there. From this end to that end, all the equipment, all the system having the mechanical switches and operational charts were there, parameters were under monitoring condition. But by replacing the old pneumatic control system with DCS control system, by clicking a single mouse, any system of any equipment can be started or can be stopped, and everything is in advanced control system, having the smart also hot redundant system. In this manner, this also saved a lot of energy as well as increase the quality and maintain the natural resources. We have installed a sewage treatment plant in atomic energy industries and in the township in our colony itself. Also, we are having 100% sewage treatment plant. No sewage water is being discharged in the environment or in the nature, but we are treating it and we are recycling it. Whatever the sewage treatment, treated water is used for our gardening purpose and other purposes. So in this manner, we are not polluting the natural resources by throwing the sewage garbage in the natural environment. So you can see here after producing heavy water, you know that as I told, to produce 1 kilogram heavy water, we need 35,000 kilograms of demineralized water. But this balanced water, it gets recycled back in the system. The nearby area people were doing agriculture, but now we started conservation of water also. So as I told, we have installed effluent cooling tower, and we have installed this cooling system. Now this system is not discharging water for the outside, but sometimes we send water for the agriculture purpose, the nearby area, as per the requirement of the nearby farmers. We are having mastery plantation beyond the fence also. We are having the mission, or we are having the vision that this heavy water plant, Kota, as well as the other units of the Department of Atomic Energy, you can see the atomic energy installations everywhere. Environment management is taken care. Environment is taken care by one and all. You can see here we do the mastery plantation in the inside the plant as well as the beyond the fence, outside the fence, as well as in our colonies and nearby areas. For this heavy water plant was given a lot of awards for the work towards the plantation. You can see the difference. The time when you visit Rawatbata, you remain in outside the DAE colonies and you enter in heavy water plant colony. There will be a lot of environment difference, a lot of temperature difference will also be there. This colonies having a lot of trees, trees are being taken care by the employees and residents. You know that just I have briefed some of the reengineering methodologies, technologies for conservation of the energy as well as the natural resources. Just have a look what energy and natural resources management as well as the what we can get in our plant performance. You know that normally it happens the time when we are reducing energy or conserving energy, there should be some compromise. But as I told, energy conservation means without compromise with the comfort and without compromise with the need and requirement. If we are using the engineering solution for energy, then definitely there will be no compromise with quality as well as the quantity. So just have a look. Earlier in just you can see. Earlier in 80s, to produce 1 kilogram heavy water, 25.1 metric ton basic steam consumption was there. With the engineering modifications and re-optimization of the process parameters and energy conservation methodologies, in 90s, it was brought up to 14.1 metric ton per kilogram in comparison to 25.10. In new millennium, in this century, it is approximate 7 to 8 metric ton per kilogram. You can say it is approximate 70% conservation. Then specific electric consumption to produce 1 kilogram heavy water earlier in 1980s, electrical energy consumption was approximate 3.52 megawatt. It was brought down to 1.88 megawatt approximate in 1990s, and now in new millennium it is approximate 1 megawatt per kilogram. Here also we conserve lot of electrical energy. Now raw water being the very important natural resources, it was approximate 2,280 cubic meter in 1980s, which was brought down to 1,300 cubic meter per hour in 1990s, and now in this century or new millennium, it is approximate 700 to 800 cubic meter per hour. You can see that we conserved steam, we conserved electrical energy, and we conserved raw water also. Means we reduce all the main input. We reduce the water, we reduce the electrical energy, we reduce steam, and definitely there should be a lot of variation in the quality as well as quantity. But you can see here that annual operating hour by the certain engineering modifications and awareness and participation by all the employees. It was in 1980s, it was approximately 5,243 hour annually. It has increased to 6,770 hours in 90s, and now it is approximate 8,300 to 8,400 hours. Means our plant availability increased a lot. Then feed processing rate. Feed processing, whatever the system from which we are producing heavy water, in 80s its feed processing rate was approximately 260 cubic meter per hour. In 19 it was 361, and in this new millennium it is approximate 482, approximate 500 metric ton per hour. Mean we increased feed processing rate, though we reduced the energy, electrical energy as well as the steam, but we increased the feed processing rate. Then what happened? Production of the design, whatever the design planning in the initial 1980s, it could be achieved up to 20% of the rated design. In 90s it was approximately 69, and new millennium, normally people thinks that 100% cannot be achieved. By doing certain modification, certain engineering re-engineering and re-optimization of the process parameter, this maximum it has reached the designed capacity is approximate 135%. With certain engineering modifications, re-engineering technologies, and energy conservation methodologies. D2O production in I say in the present we are self-sufficient. We are able to fulfill all the needs of the India for the nuclear and non-nuclear purposes, as well as we are exporting heavy water to other countries like France and USA also. And moreover, I can say this heavy water plant Kota has produced a very high level of purity of heavy water. Now India is the largest producer of heavy water in the world, and I can say India is the largest exporter of heavy water in the world. So this is the pride for us, that Department of Atomic Energy is the pride for the nation, and we are here as a part of the Department of Atomic Energy. Thank you very much. Hello. If there is any question, we can discuss. Are you able to hear me, madam?
Yes, sir.
Any participants having any query, they can write or ask directly.